What's up, guys? We have a new game with the white pieces against Imhotep 72. We're rated 1223, they're rated 1148, and we open up with e4, they go e5, we play the bishop's opening, we bring the bishop out to c4, on move 2, he copies us, bishop out to c5, that's fine. We develop our minor piece towards the center, and we are going to close our pawn. Okay, he develops his knight in an unorthodox way to h6. I don't see what that does, so I'm going to continue with my plan of solidifying my pawn chain in the center, opening up this bishop, and okay, so he didn't put his knight here because he wanted the square for his queen. So what's he threatening? He's threatening checkmate in 1. What's the drawback? Well, he's moving his queen out early. It's a very weird attack that he's doing. I wanted to go f4. Like that was my plan this whole time, but considering the weird stuff he's doing, I'm just gonna go with the extremely simple knight here. If he sacks and I take and he jumps his knight in, I could just go back and I don't see a follow-up for him. So I was going to go for f4, but now I'm just going to do regular development with knight f3 because he did the weird stuff. He went d6, solidifying his pawn chain, opening up his bishop, but his queen is kind of in the wrong spot, and now that I defended against his threats, I have the time I need to either hit it with the bishop or the knight. I'm going to go with the knight because the knight definitely wants to be in this square anyway. Whereas the bishop I could be more flexible with. Also, this comes with another threat, so it forces the queen to go back home. So that's always a plus. And then we can castle, or we can develop the bishop to a few squares. Maybe he doesn't see this, but he has to see it. It's pretty obvious. Plus, where else are you moving your queen, right? The only other square that looks like anything is this. Okay, so he goes back home, lining up for the next game. That's nice. We could take the knight and double his pawns, but that doesn't look like a devastating thing. He didn't castle. He could put his rook here, and it might even help him. So I'm not keen on it. We can try to force f6, but is that worth it? Maybe, because then maybe we can take the pawn. He can't take with the queen, and if he takes with the pawn, the bishop can take the knight. So maybe it's worth throwing this in, because if he doesn't go f6 and he goes queen d7, then he blocks his own pieces. Hey, it's a developing move. We'll justify it like that. It's a developing move. Castling is definitely... Okay, so now I can take, I think. Because if he takes, it hangs, and if it takes, it hangs. And then I win a pawn. It does open up his rook, but I won't castle kingside. I'll castle queenside. Okay, so I have 3 minor pieces out. He has 1. His king's a lot more airy and open than mine is. So he develops a minor piece. What's the threat? There's no threat. It's he's just pinning the knight and developing. So just make a logical move. We could put the question to the bishop because if he takes, it develops our queen, so that's not good for him. Also, he can't put his rook here, I noticed, because I forgot my bishop was there. Let's just ask his bishop what it wants to do, because trading is good for me, because then I'll have the bishop pair, and I'm up a pawn, and I have much better development, right? Crazy development, and a much safer king. I can castle either way. I have pawns on both sides. So he develops his last minor piece. I don't know why he didn't go. I guess he wanted to defend the f6 pawn, but whatever. Either way, kind of blocks his queen a little bit. Maybe he should try to castle that way. This doesn't threaten anything, his knight move, so I have time to kind of do what I want. I could castle, but his king is very weak. Maybe I have better moves, more aggressive moves that follow up on my initiative. So I have to look for good-looking forcing moves first and foremost. So a good-looking forcing move is queen h5, check. There's no piece that can interpose on this diagonal, so he's forced to move his king. This square is taken, so he's forced to move here. And then I put my queen here, and that looks like a checkmate. So we're going to go with this. And he wasted a lot of time bringing his queen out, bringing it back. So you can see why bringing your queen out early just generally doesn't pay off. I mean, the guy's not going to let you checkmate him in one, right? So we take a couple points from that guy. I think it was just 4 because he was lower rated. But now we're facing Mrs. Lawless, a renegade. She's rated provisionally 1328, so could be even stronger. We don't know. Okay, definitely weaker. Bishop d3. What the heck? Okay, they'll probably go, I mean, if they're not completely bad, let's say c3, bishop back, and then d4. But a weird starting move. But I'm just going to develop normally. Okay, he develops this way. Instant moves. I'm going to go with the perk setup. And just leave his bishop here, because I don't know about like what that is. What? How is that a move? That comes to your... How is this a move? How are you in this position? You're like, you know what? 95 here. What? Even if my pawn wasn't here, what is that move? Now he gives me a check. I'm just gonna hit it with the pawn. Okay. What is this? What's the point of this guy? Just resign if you're gonna... Why are you even playing if you're gonna do this? Go play Connect 4. More free stuff. Let me guess, this? More free stuff? Oh, he made a move that doesn't hang a piece, but it also doesn't protect the hanging piece. More free stuff? Okay, eventually I should castle. It's just there's so much free stuff. But what, I mean, what is this guy doing? It's not very educational. But basically, when your opponent hangs stuff for no reason and there's no trick, you take it. My king is safe. He can't check it. What did he just take? And he takes a pawn with his queen. If I don't use lead chess, I mostly use chess.com. If I knew how to quickly report, I would just report this guy for like wasting people's time, basically. And it's not because he's a bad player, right? Queen takes pawn. It's not because he's 300 elo that he did that. It's because he's doing it on purpose. So I'm just going to try to checkmate him as fast as I can so we don't waste time. I don't know, maybe he was just a 100 elo. Wow, that guy was trash. I mean, I don't make fun of my opponents generally, but what the heck was that? Okay, so I'm rated 1, 2, 3, 4. This guy's rated 1152. He's going for the French. Never mind. He's going for the novelty A6. to which I will just develop normally towards the center. He goes with h6. So when your opponents do this crazy stuff, you put 2 pawns in the center. If the more experienced you are, maybe you could put 3. The less experienced you are, you put 2. And you develop. You bring out your pieces. So now he thrusts with g5, threatening g4, if that's a threat. That's not really a threat, I just moved my knight, but out of curiosity, I want to see what he's going to do after h3. I wanted to... Okay, so he instantly responds in the other direction. Again, I want to see what he's going to do. These are wastes of time, h3 and a3, but because of what he's doing, it doesn't matter. And it's also funny because it stops what he's doing. So he's definitely going to just double fianchetto probably. I have no idea. So anyway, he develops a bishop. What does it threaten? It just puts a little pressure on the pawn. So if this knight ever got kicked, you'd have to be careful, but so far, so good. I'm going to continue developing by putting my bishop here. It overprotects the pawn, and also it's some more active square for when I push e5. And now his king will have no safe place to castle, because whichever side he castles, I'm going to push that pawn and try to break this down. He'll push past, and I'll have to attack it again, but it will definitely be broken down because it'll be on my side of the board. And I'm 1 move away from castling. He's 3 moves away. I have 3 pieces developed. He has 1 piece developed too. So he brings the bishop out. What does it threaten? It puts a little pressure on the diagonal. The drawback, he wasted just so much time with these moves. Okay. We can continue our development. We can castle. I see no reason not to castle. So let's just put our king in safety. He develops his knight here because he probably thinks he might get hit. I don't know. But it's a pretty passive square. Maybe he's supporting some type of pawn thrust. But that's okay. I'm just going to continue my developing because he's very passive. He's not forcing me to do anything. I don't have any good looking forcing moves really. So I'm going to just continue my development. His bishop, not exactly sure where I want it just yet. So let me put the rook where I feel like I know I want it, right? Supporting the center. And I made very simple development moves. Of course, you didn't have to do any of these. If he ever pushed, you could have just retreated your knight and then played, something like c3, and it would be perfectly fine. I just thought it was funny, and it also stops what he's doing. So he does thrust a pawn in the center. And what does this threaten? I mean, I don't mind the game opening up because I'm better developed than he is, and my rook's staring at his king. I could try to just gain space, but then that gives his knight a good square and it gives him kind of nice position. I could kind of take, if he takes with the knight, and I take with the knight, and he takes with the bishop. I can't take again. I don't know. It's an interesting move. I think I'm just going to ignore him because I don't see the benefits to unlocking his pieces. If I go in here though, and he takes my pawn, I guess I take with the bishop. Actually, no, if I move this knight, I'm not actually threatening anything. Or maybe if he takes my pawn, I can go like queen h5. But then even if he castles, well, yeah, probably not worth it. What other nice moves do I have? I mean, I guess you do want to open up the center, but if I take and he takes, what's the next good move? Then I jump my knight in the center. Do I not have a better move though? That's what's ticking me off. I feel like I should have something better. But nothing I look at works really. Well, his king's in the center, and I can't come up with a move that I like, let's say. So I figure let's open up the rook, let's open up the bishop. Can't be wrong. And he takes with the bishop. I thought he was gonna take with the knight because now I could just take the light square bishop, which was on a, was doing perfectly fine. So I was planning on just holding the position, throwing a knight in here maybe, but now I think maybe I can take the knight. I mean, take the bishop. Alternative moves are knight in here, which I can do after. I kind of just want the bishop. This is my knight. I mean, okay, so he recaptures with the knight. What is threaten? Nothing. Maybe he'll put it here, but that's not a big deal. It's my move. I can solidify my center. Weakens the dark squares a little bit, but he's still my light squares 3 moves away. And it's not really a threat because by that time nothing will be there. It's kind of passive. This is a move. If he takes and we recapture, again, he's still not castled, so blowing up the center might be good for me to do immediately. That's the thing. If I go like here, he can castle. But if I go here, it's forcing. So a good looking forcing move. Let's go aggressive. C3 is passive, just defending, but so he insta moves to the side. That's fine. Hits the bishop, but that's about it. And it also double attacks the pawn. I'm gonna go and retreat my bishop all the way here. That might look weird, but it actually threatens to take the pawn next. It gets it out of the reach of the knight, and it also gets out of the way of the queen, so the pawn is defended. And it also overprotects these, which you don't need at the moment, but it gets it out of the way of all of white's pieces. So he develops his last minor piece, but he didn't castle. So I can take this pawn. I can also push. Can I push? I only have 3 minutes and I can't really think, so I'm gonna take the free pawn for now. I know everyone plays 3-minute games, but I cannot think like instant speed and come up with good moves because I have to scan my moves and judge them, and it takes a long time. See, now I can bring my bishop back out, win a pawn, and pin the knight. So this was a temporary spot. It's not a bad spot. It's a nice cubby hold for the bishop. You'll often see people put it there. But there are more active spots, so that's the thing you want to look out for. And now I have a passed pawn. So I can trade everything, and I know that the king and pawn endgame is winning. So I can keep that into consideration. Also, his king side is looking a little weird. He'll probably try to reinforce it. I can try for some type of checkmate on the light squares maybe. I could take this knight. That seems like a lot of work that I don't want to do. So I'm just going to take the knight. I don't want to have to calculate with 2 minutes and set up some type of attack. I just want to trade. So let's start the trades. Let's get rid of this knight, which has weird jumps that I don't like. And then let's put our knight in the center, which offers more trades, and now a queen trade. And I don't know if he's considering the fact that all endgames are winning for me, right? Because his king will not be able to do anything other than babysit my pawn. So he correctly avoids the queen trade. But now I get to try to get active with my pieces. I'm going to give this check because it's the most forcing active move, and it comes with a threat. Okay, so now I forced the queen trade because he didn't want to lose the pawn. So now I activate my rooks. This one goes here, this one goes here. And the game basically wins itself. I welcome all rook trades. And you see, now I don't have to come up with an attack and organize a battery and calculate what happens if he goes f5, right? I just know with chess knowledge that with an outside pass pawn, king and pawn endgames, I'm always winning, so all I have to do is trade. So he's defending the pawn, maybe even can push, but I think this is kind of a clever move. It stops him from pushing. It also allows me to double if I want. It's unnecessary, but it works. He tries to activate his rook. Maybe he'll pick up this pawn, which I don't care about. You know, it's not worth defending. It's already like too far gone. So I don't want to put resources for a pawn. And now if he wants to defend this pawn, he has to go back. He says, you know what, I'm going to go active. And you also have to notice that before you initiate this trade, you're not back rank mated because you have an escape square. That's very important, or you would instantly lose the game. So I'm only up a pawn, but now I have two outside pass pawns. So that's not good for him. I'm going to move my king over just to get it a little closer to the center and stop him from giving me a check and pushing me like in the corner. And now I'm going to bring my rook back, which may look counterintuitive, but I'm just going to use it to get behind and push my pawns, right? I don't need to win anything. I just need to push my pawns. And he could try to push this distorted pawn mass, but I have plenty of defense here. Did he think I was... he offers me a draw. He thought I was going to keep pushing and he'll shuffle back and forth. Okay. Sorry, Meganeo. We take that guy's points because whatever. So that's a good bit of chess knowledge if you didn't know it about outside pass pawn, and gives you an idea of how to play the game, trade your queens, and etc. Okay. Keep on climbing, submit your rapid games, which you guys are not doing. I've gotten a couple from cheaters though. We keep climbing. Good luck in your games.